a special guest, Amy Crane, to talk about Facebook ads. I'm sure you all know that's why you joined in, because everyone's really interested in Facebook ads. She is an expert in Facebook, and she's going to talk all about how to get started on $5 a day. She's currently doing the Facebook ads for Invincible Startup and is killing it. So I know this is a big need for people, so I wanted to invite her to share what she does and what she's doing for a lot of her clients, including Invincible Startup. So there are a lot of things to do in Facebook and with Facebook ads. We can't cover everything in the next 45 minutes to an hour, but we'll have time at the end for a Q&A for Amy. And then if you have any questions after the webinar or want to talk to Amy one-on-one, then you certainly can do that, or talk to me one-on-one. So if you have any questions, save your questions till the end. Put them in the chat, actually, and then we'll go through them at the end. So ask your questions in the chat as we go along. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Invincible Startup, I'm the founder. My name is Trajan. I'm from the United States, from Salt Lake City, Utah. My wife and I currently live in Paris. We run several businesses, and we travel around the world. Right now we're in Paris, and next month we'll be in Prague, Czech Republic. So I know there are a bunch of people in our community from Europe, from the UK, South America, North America, a lot of Americans. Got some people from India, Dikabo from Botswana in Africa. So it's so fun to see people from all over the world joining the webinar. And if you haven't already joined the Facebook community, then please join that. I'll put a link in the chat. We've got over 400 entrepreneurs and startups from all over the world networking and learning from each other. And every week we'll be doing a webinar like this on a different subject. Last week was how to grow and engage with people on Twitter. You can find that on the YouTube channel. And a recording of all of the webinars every week will be available for 1 week for free on the YouTube channel. And then after a week, we put it in the membership site, which is invinciblestartup.com. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. This is a no-pitch webinar like most of them are. We're not going to be selling anything. Amy is just going to be sharing her big brain. And then if you want to speak with her or me afterwards, then you sure can. So with that, Amy, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Trajan, for having me. I'm super excited to be here with all of you guys. So I know Trajan's in Paris. I'm in Asheville, North Carolina, if you guys have heard of that. It's a super cool town in the mountains. So I'm so excited to be here with everyone. And I'm going to share a little bit about how I got started with Facebook advertising. And when I got started with social ad marketing, I had a really small budget. I was getting my business up and going, so I had $5 a day to spend. And I think a lot of businesses, when they're just getting started, they're working with a small budget. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I'm also going to go through some numbers. So what you can expect to spend, whether you're working with a small budget or a big budget. And then I've also got some examples of ads that I'm running now, so you can see what's working. Because I always think it helps to actually see some examples. We'll walk through the headlines, the copy, the images, all of that good stuff. So just a little bit of background on me. I got started with Facebook advertising back in 2009. I had a retail store. That was my first business. And I was spending a lot of money on advertising in magazines and sponsoring events. And I wasn't super excited with the response I was getting. So I decided to try out Facebook ads because they were still pretty new at that point. People were just starting to play around with them. And I was blown away by the response. I was able to get people in my store. I was able to get people to my website. And it's just such a powerful tool. So I started social ad marketing so that I could help other businesses start to use Facebook advertising. So since then, I've helped coaches, consultants, retail sites build their Facebook pages, work on their Facebook ads so that they can get more business from them. So let's get started with how I built my page on $5 a day. So I didn't have a big budget. Again, I was just getting started. But what I knew is that I was working on my website, you guys. I didn't even have a website when I started running my first ad. So don't be scared. If you don't have a website, if your headshots aren't perfect, don't worry about it. It's never too soon to start. So I put my Facebook page up waiting on my website. We're working on my website, trying to get that up. And in the meantime, I just spent $5 a day to get some likes to my website. To my page. So like campaigns get kind of a bad rap these days. A lot of people have ran like campaigns and they've either spent a lot of money getting someone to do it for them, and now they've got a page full of spam bots and fake accounts, or they tried running it and they just didn't get the results that they wanted. So when I started running my like campaign, I was pretty clear on who I wanted to target, who I wanted to get to my page, who I wanted to work with. And that's really the first step in creating a really great ad campaign, is being really clear on who you want to work with and who your target market is. So I do Facebook advertising, right? So I just thought about the top 4 or 5 people in my industry that I could start to target. So I thought of people like Social Media Examiner and Mari Smith and Amy Porterfield and John Loomer. These are people that are really well known in my field, and they've got great Facebook pages. They're really engaged, really active. So that was a great place for me to start building my page so I could get some fans to my page. So when you're running your like campaign, you really want to be careful and you want to make sure you're getting the right people there. So you don't want to target countries like India and China just because they're known for a lot of spam bots and fake accounts. So you've got to be really careful there. If you are targeting, a lot of different countries, you want to watch out because you might see a lower cost, but you're going to get a lot of people to your page, or they're not really people, they're fake accounts. And then you've got a bunch of fans that you're not going to be able to target down the road. I actually had a client that came to me that has 20,000 fans on her Facebook page, which sounds awesome, but about 15,000 of those fans were fake accounts. So you don't want to buy likes, and you want to be really clear on who you're targeting. So I only focus on the US, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom. So that's where most of my clients come from. So that's the first step in creating a like campaign. So why do you want to do a like campaign? Why do you want to get people to your Facebook page? Why not just start driving traffic to your website? So for me, I didn't have a website yet. I didn't have a list. I didn't have an offer to send out to my list. So I really wanted to build up a group of people that I could start to engage with, interact with, and build that relationship so that when I did have my website up, I would have somewhere to send them. So it really does beat launching to an empty room. So if I had waited and I hadn't worked on my Facebook page, and then when my website was ready, started to promote that, I wouldn't have had anyone to promote to. So it was really clear that I needed to build that Facebook page. And I actually got my first client before I even had a website up. So if you were still in that like startup mode where you don't have a website yet, it's never too early to get started. So get your Facebook page up, start getting the right people to your page. And as you go, as your website's up and ready, you've got your free offer to send out to your list so you can start building your email list. Then you can start to switch your focus. But when you're working with a small budget, it's important to be really clear on what your goal is at that point and what you're trying to achieve. So for the first few weeks, it was just on likes. That's all I did. I got 1,700 likes, all people in my target market, all people that I will most likely work with. So once my website's ready, it's up, it's working, now my website's ready to go, I have 1,700 fans that now I can start to promote my website to. So I can start to promote my blog post. I can start to drive people to my free offer. So it made it a lot easier to get my content in front of people and to get them on my list because I already had a little community built up. So once I have my website ready to go, I decided to start promoting my blog posts and my free offer. So at first I was still tweaking and playing with my free offer. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but I'm still tweaking and playing with my website's ready to go. And so I just started to promote my blog posts. So I spend $5 a day to get my content in front of people. Because let's be honest, if you're writing blog posts, you spend a lot of time creating that content and you want to make sure that people actually see it. So it's worth it to pay to play. I mean, Facebook really is pay to play now. So you've got to pay to promote that content. I know it's annoying. And if you started a Facebook page a couple years ago and you could build your page to 5,000 fans and you could get people to your website in 2 seconds and everyone was commenting and liking, and that's just not the case anymore. So it really is worth it to take your content and to pay to promote it. Again, just $5 a day, just to make sure you're getting people over to your website to read your blog, watch your video, sign up for your webinar, you know, whatever it is. So those are really the first steps in the process. Building a great community of people that I knew were interested in Facebook advertising. And then I started to promote my content to them. And then I started to build my list. So building your list is probably what most people are interested in, and building your list is crucial to your business. And it took me a little bit longer than I would like to admit to get up a free offer that was really a great free offer and that converted well. But once I got my free offer ready to go, I stopped running the like campaign and I just focused on building my list. That's where I put all of my money. So $5 a day until I reached 1,000 subscribers. That was the goal that I had. I wanted to hit 1,000 subscribers. So $5 a day for about 3 months. Now, it was great because I already had these fans, so I was able to get people on my list for about 30 cents, 40 cents if they were a Facebook fan, which is awesome. I mean, most of the time when you target, and we're going to talk about these numbers in a minute, but if you're targeting someone outside of your tribe, you're going to spend a significant amount more. So you might spend $2 to get someone signed up for your email list. But because I had this community in place, I was able to build my list a lot faster. So I hit those 1,000 subscribers faster than I would have if I were just targeting everyone else on Facebook. So that's why it's so important to start building that community. So I'm actually going to switch over. I've got some slides I'm going to share with you guys so we can start to walk through some of this. So I'm going to switch over. Let me know, make sure that you guys can see this. Can everybody see this okay? If you can't, let me know. All right, so when you're working with a small budget, the most important thing is to know what your goals are. So are you like me, you are literally just getting started, you don't have a website, you need to build your community first? Or do you already have some likes to your page, but now you want to start building your list? So be really clear on your goals, and I suggest every month just reevaluating what your goal is for that month, focusing on that. You also want to keep in mind your current Facebook presence. Do you have a lot of fans, or are you just starting from scratch? When you're just getting started, it's going to cost a little bit more, but that's okay because down the road, it's going to pay off. It's a lot more cost effective to promote to your fans than it is to promote to other people on Facebook because they already know you, like you, and trust you. Your niche. So I do Facebook advertising. Obviously, that's something that a lot of people are really interested in. So my cost is probably a little bit lower than some other industries or niches. So you want to keep that in mind. How broad is your niche? How active is your niche? Also, your product. What type of product are you selling and what's the price point there? That's going to have an effect on your ad cost. And your website and email list. If you've already got some website traffic and you've already got an email list, that's awesome. You're like way ahead of the game, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to start to promote your content and get people signed up for webinars, to sell things, all of that good stuff. But if you're just getting started, you've got to get to that point. So you've got to build up a little bit. And the last thing is your time frame. So do you have a webinar coming up in 2 weeks, but you're working on a tight budget? So maybe you want to spend all of your budget and those 2 weeks getting people signed up for your webinar. I wasn't really on a schedule. I just wanted to get 1,000 subscribers on my list, and I wanted to see how fast I could get subscribers on my list. So I just let my ads run and kept an eye on them to see how well they were doing. When you're working with $5 a day, Facebook is going to spend that budget no matter what. So if your ads aren't working, Facebook's still going to spend that $5. So, or $20 or $100. So you want to make the most out of your budget. And that's really what our goal is to create the best free offer or to create the best ad campaign so that you can get the best cost and you can get the most conversions for your budget. So here's kind of the cost range you can expect to spend. So I like to give people some numbers just so they have a framework to work with. So whether you're spending a little bit, like $5 a day, or your budget is a little bit higher, maybe you're spending $100 or $200 a day. So to get Facebook fans to your page, you're probably going to spend 20 cents to 75 cents a like. If you're spending much more than that, you'll probably want to go back and start tweaking your ads, maybe see if you can make the copy more effective, find a different image, or maybe you're just targeting the wrong group. Now, you can definitely get your ad cost a lot lower, so you can definitely spend a lot less. You know, I have clients that I work with, this guy he works with drummers, and they are like a super engaged, really active group on Facebook. So he gets likes to his page for like 5 cents, and it's super easy for him to grow his page. But if you're a local business or you work in a really small market or small niche, you might pay a little bit more. You might pay 60 cents or 75 cents. So these are just, you know, this is just a range. You could pay a little bit less, you could pay a little bit more, but just keep in mind it depends on your target market. I pay about 23, 25 cents a like to get people to my page, and I'm happy with that number because the people that I get to my page are people that they're engaged, they sign up for my webinars, they sign up for my email list, so that's a good number for me. And again, you want to stay away from targeting countries like India or China, just so you avoid spam bots and fake accounts. So you've got to be really careful there with what countries you're targeting. There are some things you can do to eliminate the spam bots and fake accounts, but you just got to be really careful. You might run a like campaign and get likes for, you know, 2 cents, but you may not be getting quality people or real people to your page. Oh, wrong way. Website clicks. So you've got a great blog post that you want to get out to your audience. If you guys have posted anything recently on Facebook, you probably noticed that your reach is a lot less, especially if it's a blog post or you're trying to get people signed up for something. Right now, just about anything, if you post it to your Facebook page and you want people to click on a link or you want to get them signed up for something, you need to turn it into an ad. So Facebook, at the beginning of the year, they said that they're not gonna, they're doing away with promotional posts. So if you post something on your page like, hey, check this out, hey, go buy this, hey, read this, you're not gonna get any distribution in the news feed. So you're gonna have to turn this into an ad. So every time I put up a blog post, I always turn it into an ad and promote it to my fans. That way, people are actually going to my website and they're reading my blog posts. I mean, you spend a lot of time creating this content. You want to make sure that people actually see it. So about 10 cents to 60 cents is about the average. Of course, it's going to depend on the topic of your blog post, how interesting and engaging the article is, or if it's a product, how popular is your product. So if your ad isn't working, if your cost is too high, work on creating a really strong image and headline to help you lower that cost. So it may be that your headline isn't clear, maybe people aren't really sure, there's not enough interest there to get them to click. So just in general, website clicks are 10 cents to 60 cents. And if I'm promoting a blog post, I always promote it just to my fans. I don't promote it outside of my email list and my fans, just because the people that are the most likely to read it are the people that already know me. So let's talk about email subscribers. So I think this is what most people get interested in, is getting people signed up to your list. So on average, if you're trying to get an email subscriber, you're gonna pay $1 to $4 an email. And again, this just depends on your niche, on your offer. There's a lot of different factors that go into this. And the cost of getting an email subscriber has gone up a little bit the last few months, just because I think a lot of people are starting to promote their content on Facebook. Everyone's got a free offer. I mean, think about when you sign on to Facebook, how many people or how many offers you see for a free PDF or a free ebook or a free training series. So that cost has gone up a little bit, but I'm totally fine paying a little bit more for a subscriber if it's a good lead, if it's someone that's going to get on my list and potentially buy from me down the road. So one mistake that I see people make, and when you're working with a small budget, this is something you want to make sure you keep an eye on. If something isn't working, if you've tested a couple different things, you've swapped out your copy, you've played with your images, and your ads still aren't working, it might be time to switch up your free offer. Maybe your offer isn't something that your audience really needs, or maybe it just doesn't, it's not unique enough and it's not standing out enough in the newsfeed. This is something that I did. I'm going to share some examples with you in a minute of my first few free offers, which were actually both pretty terrible. But I figured it out pretty fast that they were pretty bad, and I was able to create a really great free offer that converted at a lower cost, and it's worked out really, really well. So don't be afraid to test out different free offers or free video trainings to see what gets the best response. I think a lot of times people fall in love with their first free offer and they really want that offer to work. They've put a lot of time and effort into it, but sometimes it isn't always what their audience really, really wants. And of course, if you're retail, you can do a coupon code or free shipping, right? People love free shipping, and that's a great way to get people signed up onto your list. So when you do have a sale or promotion coming up, you can still email out to those people. Okay, so when you are running ads on Facebook, you want to be really clear. You're competing against everyone else on Facebook. You're competing against all the other ads. You're competing against cute baby pictures, funny dogs, cats making faces. I mean, all of these things you're competing against, right? So when someone is scrolling through their newsfeed, you've got to make your ad so unique, so interesting that people want to click on your ad instead of the funny video of puppies and kitty cats playing that's showing up in their newsfeed right below your ad. So you want to answer the question, what's in it for me? So what is someone going to get if they click on your ad? Are they going to get something that's going to help solve their problem? Are they going to get some templates, a swipe file? Are they signing up for a webinar? You want to be really clear on the problem that you solve and what they're going to get out of it. Right, so what does your audience struggle with? Are they terrified to speak in public? So maybe you've got 10 tips for public speaking that will make them more calm when they're giving their speech. Or are they terrified of sales? So you've got 5 sales scripts that you can give them to make them feel more confident when they have to get on the phone and close those sales. So be really clear about what their issue is, what they're struggling with, and how you solve it. You've only got a few seconds to get their attention and to get them to click on your ad. So you've got to make your point really, really fast. Oh, why keeps going back to the beginning? Here we go. So here were my terrible first 2 free offers. And, you know, we've all got to start somewhere. These are so bad. My first free offer was on the right. I did just like a quick start guide to help get people get their Facebook page up and going. And it's awful, but I knew that I needed to have a free offer, at least on my website, even if I wasn't crazy about it. The second one was a little bit better. I did a quick video series on how to create a raving Facebook page. So making sure your page is set up, getting some likes to your page, all of that good stuff. So when I tested these out on Facebook, the response was okay. It wasn't great, but I'm spending $5 a day and I knew I had to make the most of it. So the video series was converting at like 280, I think, which, you know, it's not terrible if you're getting good people. Actually, it's not great, but I knew I could do better. So I knew I had to come up with another idea. So what I did is I popped over to Google, and this is one of my favorite tips. If you're stuck, if you're trying to come up with a blog post idea, you need copy for your ads, it's a great way to figure out what people need the most help with. So what I did is I went over to Google and I just searched how to use Facebook ads effectively. So I typed that in the search bar, scroll all the way down to the bottom. So skip over all the articles and stuff that pop up. Go to the bottom where it says searches related to. When you get to the bottom, these are all of the other topics that people are searching for on Facebook. So these are the things that people are actively searching for on Google, things that they need help with. So when I search for how to use Facebook ads effectively, I pop down to where it says Facebook advertising strategy all the way at the bottom. And I clicked on that. And then I scrolled all the way to the bottom again. And Facebook ad formats is what popped out at me. So you'll see there's all kinds of things in here. Should I use Facebook ads? How to use a Facebook ad coupon, Facebook ad bidding strategy. So tons of stuff in here. So it's all great. They're all great ideas that I could use for a blog post or a video to post on Facebook. But since I was trying to come up with a free offer, I just clicked on Facebook ad formats, and that triggered the idea to do Facebook ad templates, because everyone that would come to me, they're like, how do I actually create ads that work? Like, I have no idea where to start with the headline, the images. I don't know how to pull it all together. So I went through and I pulled my 5 best performing ads up to that point, and I put them in a PDF, and I started to break down why they work. So here's the headline, here's the image, this is how I created it. And it was really helpful for people, and they loved it. So that ended up being my new free offer. There we go. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the Facebook ad swipe file. That's the free offer that I was able to create that got my cost down. And this was how I was able to add those 1,000 subscribers to my list. So I tested a couple things out. They didn't work. I wasn't happy with it. And I didn't waste a lot of time trying to make it work. I would tweak them a little bit, and then I just moved on to the next thing until I found something that did work. So when you're working with a small budget, don't waste your money on something that isn't working. Figure out what is working, and that's where you want to put your money. So once I landed on this, I started to promote it to my fans, and I was able to get my fans of my Facebook page on my list for about 80 cents, which is lower than average. So that was huge. So that's part of the reason I was able to grow my list so fast. This does convert really well. On average, I spend about a little less than $1. I'm probably at like 90 cents if I'm promoting it outside of my fans. But that's still really good, and I'm really happy with it. So it works really, really well. The second offer is a free webinar series that I do. So here's what's interesting. I ran the Facebook ad swipe file. I got the 1,000 people on my list, and then I decided I wanted to do a webinar series. So then I started to spend my money just on the webinar series. And I was spending a little bit more to get people signed up for the webinar. I think I pay about $1.50 or $1.60 to get people signed up for the webinar. And they converted at a higher rate to clients. I had more people signing up to be a client that were on the webinar series. So I'm paying more to get people on my list for that, but it works out. It's worth it to spend that extra money because that's actually where most of my clients were coming from. So I just put that out there to show you that sometimes the lowest cost isn't always the best way to go. You want to make sure that you're actually getting the right people on your list. And I do get clients from the swipe file, but the webinar list converts at a higher rate. So now I try to funnel everyone into the webinar series. But it was interesting to see that the difference there, you know, I'm paying a little bit more. Most people would have said, forget the webinar series, I'm just gonna focus on the swipe file. And, but once you keep an eye on it and you get people on your list, you wanna pay attention to what they're doing. Are they engaging? Are they turning into customers? Because if they're not, you know, it doesn't matter what you're spending on your ads because you're not able to convert them. So let's talk about, let's scroll back down here to the bottom. So now I'm going to share some ads with you guys of what's working so you can see a breakdown of what ads, the ads that are converting. So this is the ad that I use for my 5 Facebook ad templates. So when I'm running ads, I think it's best to keep it simple, right? You want to tell people what you do, how you help them, how you're going to solve their problem. And it doesn't need to be any kind of crazy long copy. I like to keep it pretty short and pretty simple. So for my 5 Facebook ad templates, just real simple, ready to create Facebook ads that really work. Grab our 5 best templates here. And this is the ad that I get people, I guess it's about 90 cents now. When I checked today, it was at like 90 cents. And it's simple. I was actually surprised that this ad worked because I don't think that image is really that cool or that interesting, but it worked. And the reason it worked is because the offer is so strong. This is something that people really want, that they're really interested in. And that's what I mean when you want to test a couple different offers to see what works, because if your offer isn't strong, your ads are never going to work. So that's why you want to make sure that your offer is solid so that your ads are going to work better. So this ad works because people, they get tired of wasting money on ads that don't work, and they don't know how to set up their ads. They don't know what types of headlines to use or images to use. So they know if they click here, they're going to get a list, or they're going to get a PDF with 5 ads that they can go through, and they can start to tweak and use those ads for their business. The second one, so let's talk a little bit about webinars, because I know a lot of people like to promote webinars. So when you are promoting a webinar, you can do it one of 2 ways, right? You can do a short and sweet ad, or you can do an ad that's it's a longer version with the bullet points. And I'm going to show you that in a second. I tend to go towards the short versions just because I like them a little bit better. But when I've tested it, they both work. They work great. So it's really just a matter of testing it out and seeing what ad gets the best results. So this is the ad for my webinar series. Tired of wasting money on ads that don't work? Learn how to use Facebook ads to grow your biz and boost your bottom line in 30 minutes each week. So something that my clients say to me all the time, or when I'm out at networking events and I hear people talking, they always say, I'm tired of wasting money on Facebook ads. Like, I can't get it to work. So that is directly from the mouth of my target market. So I use this in a lot of my ads, and it always works really well because people do get frustrated spending, because Facebook's going to spend your money, right? Whether or not your ads work. So that headline works really well. So I'm calling out their problem. I'm saying, hey, are you tired of this? And then I say, here's the solution. So learn how to use Facebook ads to grow your business in 30 minutes each week. So I'm calling out their problem, and then I'm giving them the solution to it. And the other thing that works really well about this ad is the image. So the image is really bright. I love Dollar Photo Club. So if you're looking for really cool stock photos, Dollar Photo Club is an awesome place to start. They've got really interesting and cool photos. It's not just like your boring stock photo of a guy in a suit sitting behind a desk. So I pulled this image from there, and it works because it's different. It's bright. Bright colors work really well, especially bright yellow and orange, because it stands out against that blue on Facebook. And it's all the bright pink, and she's kind of funky, she's different. And so it helps to grab their eye when they're scrolling through the newsfeed. So you want something that's going to grab their attention, because your image is such a big part of your ad that you want to make sure you catch their attention. So bright colors, any type of photo and whether you're using a headshot or a stock photo, you just want to look for something that's a little bit different. So maybe an exaggerated pose, like someone's really excited, or they're pointing, or they're jumping in the air, things like that. So try to find ways to either make your own photos, if you're using photos of yourself, more interesting, or if you're using a stock photo, look for a stock photo that's a little bit different. But again, this one works really well, and I actually use this image in a lot of different places. So you want to have a clear headline. You want to let people know what you're helping, like here's what you're struggling with, and here's how I'm going to help you, and then a really great image to grab their attention. Sometimes I always add some type of text to my image. So whether it's the title of the offer or it's a call to action. So this one actually has both. So I'm telling them that it's a free webinar series, and I've got the sign up, and it hovers right above that sign up button. So it helps to draw their eye down to the button so that they click. And then I've got one more ad. So this is the longer version that I was talking about. If you're doing a webinar and you want to list out the bullet points that you're going to be talking about, Here's what's important about this type of ad. It's really effective. Actually, this ad costs just about the same as the other ad. This was for a webinar I did around the holidays. So something you want to be careful of, if your ad copy is a little bit longer, you want to make sure that the really good juicy part of your copy is up at the top. So most of this copy, I guess probably from under, if you start at simple strategies for using Facebook ads, that second bullet point, probably from that point down would actually be covered up. And so you'd have to click the see more button to see the rest of the text and the copy. So you always want to make sure that your really juicy part of your copy is up at the top, because if it's not at the top, people aren't going to click that see more to keep reading what else you have to say. So you want to call out really fast who you're working with, what your offer is for, but you want it to be at the very, very top. And then you can start to list out your bullet points. So if someone is interested and they want to read more, then they can keep reading. Or if they already know, hey, this is for me, then they can just click and go straight to your opt-in page. So these work really well. Like I said, I just tend to go towards the shorter version just because I like it. But I've never really seen a huge difference in cost as far as the short ones or the ones where you actually list out your copy like this. But again, so this is like, are you ready to rock your holiday sales, your holiday season? I'm hosting a 30-minute webinar, and these were all related to boosting your sales over the holidays. So I've got my bright image again. It's sparkly. It's got some hot pink in there. So it really grabbed people's attention, and they clicked through because, this was geared more towards retail people, but obviously the holidays are a big season if you're in retail. So the timing was good, and obviously people were really starting to amp their marketing around this period. So just try to get in the head of your audience and what they need help with, what they're struggling with, and how you can solve that problem. And that's really the start of creating a really strong ad campaign. So I think those are all of the slides that I've got. Those are all the examples that I have. So if you guys have questions, I guess we will start to open it up to questions now. And I will stop sharing my screen. There we go. All right. So
Amy,
does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Okay. So you guys can hear me and see me. I turned off my microphone and my camera. I'm so glad you guys reminded me to turn that off, because sometimes during a webinar, I'll do some push-ups or and it would have been super embarrassing if I was doing push-ups while you were giving your. I didn't, but I'm just saying. Okay, so I was going through the questions, and there were some really good questions. I just want to go through these one at a time. I'll just mention to you, Amy, so you don't have to go through and read them back. But a few slides ago, Vinay was asking if that ad was a boosted ad or was it a promo. Can you go through the difference between doing something in the Power Editor versus just boosting a post from your page?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So a promoted post and a boosted post are pretty much the same thing. You're just setting them up different. So a boosted post, you're hitting that boost button on the actual post. And Facebook's made that feature a lot better because now you can actually go in and play with your targeting and set your budget. I set up everything in Power Editor though. I love Power Editor. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually a lot easier than using Ads Manager. But if you want to promote your post to your fans, you can hit that boost button and then go through and set your targeting and your budget the way that you want it. But make sure you take the time to set the targeting and you're only targeting your fans or you're targeting certain people, and then setting your budget where you want it. You can also go into Ads Manager and set it up that way. That's a promoted post. But you're still promoting the post that's on your page to your fans.
And does that end up costing the same if you click the boost your post button versus doing it in the Power Editor?
Yeah, so before I would always tell people never hit the boost button because Facebook would basically just spend your budget and you didn't have any control over who you were targeting. So I think it's fine if you're just trying to get people to read your blog post, or you're trying to get them to click on an article. But if you're actually wanting to get people signed up for something like a webinar or you're selling a product, it's better to set it up in Power Editor because that way you can actually optimize for conversions.
Okay. So let's take a couple of the questions that are coming in now, and then we'll go back. Ken asks, how many people should you target?
That's a good question. So now that Facebook pages are so big, I would probably focus on maybe 5 to 7 pages to target and make sure that they're really, the pages that you're targeting are engaged and active. So some of my ad campaigns, if I'm just running a like campaign, I start them pretty broad and then start to narrow them down. So they might target 1 million people. But if I'm doing a webinar, my target market is usually a little bit smaller, but it really comes down to making sure you're targeting the right pages, whether you're doing interest or if you're doing a lookalike audience. When you create a lookalike audience, those are usually pretty big audiences. I mean, there are like 1 million people in those audiences. So if your numbers are getting up there, that's okay. You're totally fine.
Is your market too broad? If like Vinay, he does a web development business, and his target market could be anybody who needs a website, and that could be 1 billion people. So how much is too much for somebody like Vinay?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. So does he work with like a specific type of business? Like, does he work with just, I don't like it, a certain type of industry maybe? Could he narrow down that way? Like, does he just do websites for, I don't know, shoe stores? Or does he just do websites for consultants? I would try to narrow it down that way. Because yeah, web development's huge, but I'm assuming he works with a certain type of client within that.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with the messaging of your advertisement, that if you can make an ad to a more of a niche market, it's going to speak to those people more because they connect with it and they know that you understand their problems. If you're building websites for shoe repairmen or cobblers, then I know that you know what my problems are, so it's going to convert higher.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's exactly right.
And then Vinay is also in India, and there's several people in India and in different countries that are in Eastern Europe that are in kind of the more spam-oriented countries. In the beginning, you mentioned that. So what do people do if they're trying to reach people in their own country? Should he still target, if he's in India or anybody else in another country, target the people in that country?
Yeah, you can target. You'll just want to dive into your targeting options a little bit more. So if you're not in India, so if I were going to target someone for my business, you can set like your languages to a certain language, so that helps to weed out the spam bots. But you'll probably want to take a little bit more time and focus on, make sure you're targeting the right pages. Because some pages that you target are known, they just have a lot of spam bots because they didn't run their ad campaigns the right way. So just take a little extra time looking at the pages, the businesses that you're targeting, make sure that their pages are active and engaged. That's usually a pretty good indication that they've got real people on their page as opposed to spam bots and fake accounts. But that is a mistake a lot of people make.
Okay, so a question for Ken related to targeting your own page. You mentioned that you pay to get people to like your page, but then you pay again to target those same people. So if you're paying twice, do you end up paying less if you were to just target those people in a totally separate ad campaign, that people who haven't liked your page already that you paid for?
Yeah, so when you pay to promote to your fans, you usually see a lot lower cost. So when I was getting people on my list, I see a lot lower cost with people that are already my fans than targeting other people that don't know me already, because they already know you, they're starting to build that relationship with you. So it's a lot easier to get them signed up or to click through to your website or to buy your product. So that's why it is important to build out that fan base first. You'll
Okay.
start to see a difference if you test it out.
I also would mention, and tell me if you have seen this a lot with your clients, the campaign you're running for Invincible Startup isn't a like campaign for our page. It's just a regular ad campaign, but we end up getting 5 or 6 likes to our page as a consequence of that without even running a campaign.
Yeah, exactly. So when you've got ads running, so I don't really run a like ad anymore because I'm happy with where my page is and I get likes to my page organically now. Well, I guess it's not organic, but I am running other ads, so I get a lot of people to my page that way. But it's really just getting that initial boost, so you've got those fans there. That's going to help it's going to make your ads a lot easier to run. It's going to make things easier for you, and you're going to figure out what groups respond the best to your ads. So it's going to make it a lot easier when you decide to get people onto your email list. You know exactly what pages to target.
Okay. So Nitin has a question. He's got a page with 35,000 likes. He sells apparel in India and Pakistan. And he tried the Power Editor, but the budget seems to go too high. But I guess you can set that budget whatever you want, right?
Yeah, so if you are sitting, what was that?
Maybe he meant the cost is too high.
So I would recommend, if you're trying to sell something, I would set that up in Power Editor, and you want to make sure you've got your conversion pixels in place, so you're tracking those conversions, and your ad is set up as a website conversion ad. So I don't know if he was doing that, but that's going to help bring your costs down, because Facebook's going to optimize for conversions instead of just optimizing for likes, comments, and shares.
Okay, and by the way, Barb, your questions are not showing up. So if you can type those again, then that would be great. So talk about when you're setting up your ad. JP's got a question about the sidebar. So sidebar versus mobile versus news feed. What's your take?
So yeah, the right side ads don't see as much engagement or interaction. Most people, like most of my traffic and most ads, if you go through and look through the reporting, most of your traffic's going to come from the mobile news feed. So you might pay a little bit more, but if you're targeting the news feed, usually you're going to see higher conversions in the news feed, whether it's desktop or mobile. You can target the right side ads. Sometimes people click on those and you might be able to track and say, okay, well, I got a couple sales from that. But for the most part, targeting the news feed is the easiest way to go.
And I would add that if you're targeting mobile, make sure you have a mobile responsive website.
Yes.
And that the traffic you're targeting is native to your mobile site. That you're sending people who are going to want to do whatever you're asking them to do on mobile. If it's not easy to shop for clothes on your mobile site, don't target a mobile.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let me just scroll down a couple of other questions. Okay, so Mark was saying a point about the image, and you mentioned that you should make your image sparkly and nice. I forget the girly terms that you used. But he wonders if you should not focus more on your brand. So if you're making it sparkly and cool and it looks like My Little Pony and it grabs people's images, that's off your brand. So how do you stay true to your brand but also make it pop out?
Yeah, so like the bright pink and everything, that's totally part of my brand. So it works for me. So I mean, I definitely don't recommend doing something that, you know, if you've got more of a rugged kind of image, I don't recommend doing something girly. So you want to keep it consistent with your brand, but you know, you still want to make sure that it's something that's going to grab their attention. So if sparkles and bright pink aren't your thing, that's totally fine. I get that. But I would find some way to make sure that your images stand out. And even if you're using pictures of yourself, maybe you've got a cool background or there's something cool going on in the image, or you're really excited, or you know, I don't know, you're pointing or you're jumping in the air. And same thing goes for stock photos. If you want to use a stock photo, still keep it in line with your brand, but just make it interesting, because you know, you don't have a lot of time to grab their attention, and so you do want to make sure it's something that stands out. But you don't have to use bright pink and unicorns and ponies if you don't want to.
Okay, great. Kelly asked about recommending somebody to design his website. Kelly, hit me up on Facebook afterwards, and I can give you several recommendations. Okay, so we'll answer Tim's question and then go to Barbara's. Tim says, not sure if this question came through. You mentioned that it's cheaper to advertise to the like list that you have created, people that like your page. He understands, but do you ensure that you're not trying to advertise to people that you already signed up to your site? In theory, after a quick time, those like people will be signed up to your website, and you'll be advertising to the already converted. So are you paying to preach to the converted if they've already liked your, talk about maybe showing the number of the content that gets shown and what doesn't get shown, and all that?
Yeah, so you can definitely, I guess it depends here. If it's something that's an ongoing campaign that I've got running for weeks and weeks and weeks, I won't keep targeting my fans with that. I'll let that ad front run for a little bit until I've reached everyone in that audience and given them an opportunity to show up or sign up for it. And then I'll turn that ad off, and then I'll start to focus on other people. But if it's new content, if it's something like a blog post that you're posting every week, of course you can share that with your fans. So yeah, I won't bombard people with the same thing over and over and over. I give them a couple chances to get signed up, get on that list, or take advantage of that sale or promotion. And then once I feel like I've reached those people, then I'll turn that ad off, because I don't want to waste money just showing it to them over and over and over and just bombarding them with the same thing if they're not going to sign up or buy. So there is a line there where you can stop those ads.
Okay, so we've got a few more questions here, and I want to get to everybody's questions. But in the meantime, I want to mention that if you have any questions that don't get answered, or you want to talk to either me or Amy, Amy is a member of the Facebook group. You can look for her there. Or also, Amy, maybe you can put your contact information up on the screen. She offers a free 15-minute consultation. If you want to go through some questions and maybe some specifics, she's going to put that up there. So I know some people had to run some meetings, so I wanted to get that out there before they had to go. Barbara, let's talk about your questions. The difference between building a community and building a list. So let me talk to that, and then Amy can follow up with it. The difference between a page and a group is one thing. If you're a member of the Invincible Startup group, you can probably see the difference between a group and a page. A group is more interactive. You can talk to people, you can post things, you can post events. It's more for conversation, and a page is more for promotions and putting out your content. It's a one-way conversation. And then building up the list is something separate, which we're going to talk about in future webinars, where how to get people on your email list in these ads, which is separate. You can't really do on Facebook, but there's a way to put people through your sales funnel and build up your build up your email list at the same time. Amy, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think you covered that perfect.
Okay, so a follow-up to Barbara's question. She's in a nonprofit, and they're 25 years old. That's pretty cool. And in 110 countries. They have 5,000 likes, and the conversion is 25 cents per like. And she says it's over budget. Can you help me understand the conversion? 25 cents per like sounds like it's about right, actually.
Yeah, I think that number's totally fine. That sounds like a good number to me, as long as they're the right people. 25 cents it's a pretty good number.
Yeah, and if you have any follow-up to that, Barbara, I want to make sure I understood your question right. Then post that in the chat. So JP asks if it's a good idea to use your Facebook page for your website.
That's interesting. I still think you need to have some type of website, because people like to click, they want to go read more, they want to learn more about your story, they want to see your services. So you can give a lot more information on a website than you can just on a Facebook page. I think it's okay to start your Facebook page before your website's in place. That's what I did. But I knew that I was working on my website, and I was going to get my website up and going in the next few weeks. But I think it would be hard to run your business just off of your Facebook page.
Yeah, I think it's okay if you're just getting started. Make a Facebook page and get going. I believe it's important to launch as soon as possible. And there are a lot of things you can do with your Facebook page, but the major drawback is that you don't own it. Facebook is always making changes as far as how many people see your content, when they see it, what you own. If you are getting people on your email list, on your website, and pushing them, giving them content on your website that you want, putting your phone number up there, etc., then you own all of that. You own your email list, you own your website, you own that content. Facebook doesn't have any control over it. So I believe you need to do both. So Abby Hatch, hi Abby, asked if you've had any success in a service-based industry that's more personal. Her company is architectural design. She's an interior design architect, and she's doing a lot of local things, and it's also service-oriented. So can you talk about both of those? Because we also have people in the community that are selling local. They're selling actual products to their local market, or maybe to a national market, that they need to push the products and then sell something more personable.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are a local business, there are some really great things you can do as far as, I mean, you have total control over the area that you're going to target. So you can narrow down by zip code, by city, by state, you know, how narrow you need to get it. That's totally fine. So I do have a lot of clients that are local clients that sell higher end products or services. It's really just making sure that your targeting is right. And that's the main thing. You probably will pay a little bit more. I'll be totally honest there. You're going to pay a little bit more because you're going to be in a smaller market. And if you're selling a service, especially a high-end service, you're going to pay more. But you can absolutely run a successful campaign on Facebook. It's just being really clear on the area you want to work in and the people you want to work with, and just knowing that you might pay a little bit more.
Right, right. And Jonathan, I appreciate your feedback about the full site, having a site versus Facebook. I think this applies to social media too. You want to be in a lot of different places, but you want to own that as much as possible. Have a website, have an email list. Those are your two main assets. And then be in social media as much as you have time for. Facebook, Pinterest, if it's appropriate, Twitter, etc. And put your content in different places as long as it's native. And we talked about that on the Twitter webinar last week. Barbara, you're saying you're not doing any promoting. You're concerned that the conversion is out of range, is out of our range. I'm guessing, asking for clarity, comparing $5 a day with 25 cents per like. I'm not sure what the question is. I guess if you're spending $5 a day at 25 cents a like, you're going to get 20 likes. Oh, posting a post? Okay, so 25 cents too much once they've already liked the page.
25 cents to click through to like a website
like
or something?
The page to get them to perform a certain action. Probably 25 cents is probably pretty low.
Yeah, that's still fine.
So Barbara, we may not be understanding your question. If you have follow-up questions, you can call. You can talk to Amy or I afterwards. Do you have any statistics on the specific app sponsored ads?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually don't. I haven't done enough with apps to give you any real numbers. Most of the people I'm working with are just trying to get traffic to their website and get people signed up. But I've heard good things about them, but I haven't worked with enough apps to throw some numbers out there at you. Sorry, Abby. I don't want to put bad information out there.
Okay, so Michael asks, did you do PPC or PPI for the $5 a day to promote your blog post?
So now with Facebook, they've made the budgeting a lot easier. So you can set it up as per click if you want. But now when you're setting it up, you can just optimize for website clicks, website conversions, likes. So Facebook's going to optimize and do all of that for you. So you don't actually have to go in and manually bid anymore like you used to. You still can if you want to, but I recommend just going with the optimized version. You're going to get the best results there. I've tested it, played around with it, and I always get the best cost when I go with the optimized.
Okay, great. Well, thank you everybody for your questions. If you have any questions, you think of later as you're lying in bed and you forgot to ask something, please connect with me or Amy. I don't know if you put your contact information up.
I popped up a link to my calendar, so you guys should be able to see that.
Okay, great. And then also Amy is in the Facebook community. If you haven't joined that, I put the link up to the Facebook community for Invincible Startup. We've got a lot of great webinars coming up in the coming weeks. We're going to be talking about email marketing, sales funnels, getting people onto your email list. There's a lot we can talk about on Facebook. So if you want to hear about something, I started a thread on the Facebook group, Invincible Startup Facebook group. So chime in and tell me what you want to talk about, and I will either talk about it, and if I don't know a lot about it, I'll bring in an expert like Amy to talk about that specific thing. So thank you everybody for your time. And lastly, I want to invite everybody to go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to that so you get notified when we post new training videos. All of the webinars will be available for 1 week for free. If you want to get access to the library, then you can subscribe at invinciblestartup.com. So the YouTube channel is youtube.com/TrajanKing, which actually is my name. So any parting words, Amy?
No, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. Thank you, Trajan.
One thing, it looks like Michaela said the link is broken to your scheduler.
Uh-oh.
So maybe you can just mention that.
Let's see. So it is, I will drop it in the chat box here.
While she's doing that, I hope we got everybody's questions answered, and we're available, and we hope to connect with everybody more in the Facebook group, which we're getting a lot of good quality members. And how are we getting them? Amy is running our Facebook ads, and it's costing us $2 a day, and we put them through a funnel, which some of you may have seen. And we're gonna break that down on a future webinar, how that funnel is working and how we get people onto our email list and into the group, and how we engage with everybody. So that's a wrap. Thanks, everybody.